When you're bored and feeling blue, and you don't know what to do, just turn on your screen and keep watching me. It's Mandy and Friends, where the fun never ends. Mandy and Friends, where the fun never ends.
Hi, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have Hannah on my show. We are gonna play, first of all, this is the most important thing. We are gonna play Timber. It's not Jenga. It's called Timber. Although there are some pieces in it that say Jenga.
So as it goes down, we're supposed to yell out Timber. Is that how?
I'm sure the audience is like, who is this gal? We've never seen her before. Well, you hold a very special place in my heart. Technically, I have known you for a very long time. We're pushing 16 and a half years now.
Oh wow, that long.
I know,
Yeah.
Right? First of all, you're from El Salvador.
Yeah.
You were born there. And I went to El Salvador, to the home you were living in 2003. Before we get into any like fun stories from that time, I actually looked up on the old interwebs about El Salvador, because here's the funny thing. I don't know if you experienced this, but when you tell people about El Salvador, is it usually met with like crickets and like a glazed look?
Yes.
And people are like,
Yeah.
El what? Is that in South America?
Yeah. Basically.
It's like,
yeah.
not technically. Yeah, and this, I also got I still get this to this day from old friends of mine. They always say, didn't you go to Ecuador? Every time.
Actually, no. Yeah, that's a very common one too. It's like Ecuador, right? I was like,
Nah.
close.
Yeah, it
Not
starts
quite.
with an E. It starts with the same letter.
Yeah.
You gonna go first?
No, I was just trying to help you.
You can go first. I looked up on the internet, on Wikipedia, facts about El Salvador, so that before we start talking about El Salvador, our audience can know a little bit about the country.
Okay.
I am so smart.
I feel like I'm gonna learn too.
Yeah. You can go first. You go first. We'll do this at the same time.
Okay.
First of all, do you know when?
Wait, are we playing like if you touch it, that's it?
Ooh.
Or can we like?
No.
No, what?
You can test. You can test.
You can test.
You can test the waters.
okay,
Kind of
okay.
like in relationships, just test it out.
That's so funny. I'm like so against that too.
You're like, if you touch it, you take it. That's it.
Basically, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you know when El Salvador became a nation separate from Spanish rule? Because the Spaniards came in and just basically claimed all of Central America.
Yeah, no.
Okay. First of all, it's September 15th.
I mean, the day, yes.
Oh, you know September 15th?
Independence Day, yes, but not like the year.
You
That's
ready?
what I meant.
Are you ready? 1821. El Salvador became a nation.
Yeah.
Well, there's volcanoes and earthquakes, so it's a very exciting country.
Yeah.
This, I think, is the biggest piece of information that people should know about is the El Salvadorian Civil War.
Oh yeah, that was.
What if like guerrilla warfare kind of civil war happened from 1979 to 1992. It ended.
Yeah, I was born during that.
Yeah.
War.
Here's the crazy thing that I just realized right now when I read that information. Well, I read it like 10 minutes ago before the show started. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My dad took me to El Salvador in 1993 when I was in the 3rd grade. My dad's like, where should I take my daughter? She's 8 years old and I want to take her to new locations. I know, let's go to El Salvador in 1993. Right after the El Salvador Civil War. I remember seeing buses with like giant bullet holes, like buses that were driving around.
Oh wow.
Like shot up. And they were like, well, it still works. We got to use something, you know? And,
Yeah, sounds about
yeah,
right.
and like, my dad and his friends would have a really fun time rating, like on a scale from 1 to 10. They would rate how bad the exhaust fumes were. You can still do this to
Yeah.
that's easy to do. But like, you know, a truck would start up and it's like jet black smoke. Yeah, they had fun like, oh, that's a number 8. Well, I don't know, it's a solid 5.
I can't imagine. Oh my gosh.
So random. So I went down in 93, 94, and 95 with him. And then in 2003, I went down by myself when I was 17. Again,
2003.
super great time to go. But it was because I got to meet you.
Yeah.
First of all, you were 11 years old, right? When's your birthday?
Yeah, it probably was 11 years old.
29 minus 17. There it is. Okay, you were 12 years old. You were 12 years old when I met you,
Yeah.
and I was 17. And so I come in. What was like first impression? What were you thinking?
My first impression. Oh, she has short hair. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
Like-
that's right.
And she pulls it off so well.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, inspiration right there.
So to
It
clarify,
was rare, actually.
I had buzzed my head for Locks of Love, but then I had a buzzed head for graduation, and I was like, and I'm going to El Salvador with a buzzed head. So I come in, you think, wow, she has a buzzed head, that's crazy.
Well, it's like, it's not normal over
No,
there,
it's not.
unless like you're gay or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was my other question. Is like, is she? But like, I was like, I don't think so. But like, even so, like, that's still pretty cool. I don't know. I thought it was really cool because like it was different and like so.
The upside, it kept me nice and cool.
Oh yeah, that too, it did. Yeah.
Because it's hot there. When you get off the plane, it's like walking into a wall of humidity.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about you now. You grew up, how old were you when you got dropped off at the house? Oh girl, you touch it, you take it? No.
I mean, I'm committed to it.
Oh yeah, you can do it. I believe in you.
Actually, I was a baby.
You're like 6 months, 3 months, 2 days?
Actually, a couple of days.
Oh wow, really? Like straight from the hospital?
Basically, yeah, I don't know, because like the Duartes had me for a while, like
In their home?
I don't know how long they had me. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
they put me in the orphanage.
Yeah. What I tell people a lot, like when I have just random conversations about our foster care system and stuff, is I really think the home that you grew up in is actually a lot more stable
It was, yeah.
than being tossed around by DHS and the foster care system. Like I've talked to, I mean, throughout my life, I've talked to foster kids that are just like, it's just so frustrating to get settled in somewhere only to move,
Yeah.
right? So you never actually feel secure in where you're at.
Uh-huh.
But with your case was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your parents actually were trying to adopt you when you were a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so can you tell us what happened? Like, you were a baby, and Vicky and Greg Duker were like, we want to adopt Hannah, and they live here in Oregon.
Uh-huh.
And then, do you know any of the details? Like, why couldn't they adopt you when you were a baby?
Actually, you know, that's the interesting part. The whole story of like my point of view and my take is like all really complicated because like
Oh yeah, I can't imagine.
because kids don't really get into like, you know, or they don't really get told about everything that goes
Sure.
around or like, you know,
Yeah, of course.
the legal stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
My parents actually got to name me, and it's funny because like the Duartes had me, you know, and after a couple of days, they called my parents. They were like, "Hey, we got the girl. What do you want to name her?" You know.
Yeah.
And then my parents tell them, "Oh, we want to name her Hannah," and they're like, "Say that again. We want to name her Hannah," and they're like, "We already been calling her that." Like, that was the weird part. It's like,
So amazing.
except for, like, so, but like, they weren't catching the H in the beginning, or like that, you know how like in English you
Sure.
pronounce, like Hannah, you know, yeah.
Well, like British people say herbs
Oh
because
my
there's an H in front.
Yeah.
Anyway. Herbs.
Oh, who knows?
It's your turn, by the way. So that's amazing. They got to name you, and they'd already been calling you that.
Yeah. Basically, what happened was that throughout the years that my parents were trying to adopt me, lawyer after lawyer, like the very, very first problem was, as far as I'm aware,
Sure.
my biological mother never signed papers,
Oh.
you know, saying or consenting to the adoption
Oh.
or anything of that sort. So that was the number one problem. But then, like, her, like, they couldn't find her as to like her location,
Oh my
because she basically just like birthed me and then like gave
Sure.
me and then like gone, you know, like she's
But
gone.
they needed her to sign?
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry,
see,
that's
the thing
crazy.
the thing is like this is how like child prostitution and all of this other stuff happens, and like I think this is the reason why they need all of that paperwork and stuff. But you're right, like she's already gone. Like,
Yeah.
what difference does it make?
Crazy.
Yeah, I get it.
Do you know how it eventually got resolved and you finally got to come to Oregon? Because I never actually heard that part of the story.
Yeah, basically they found papers about like the reason why she gave me up for adoption, or like why she
okay.
didn't want me. Basically, it came down to the whole rape thing situation, and so they found her name in the papers. I don't know why, like,
Or like
yeah.
they put
So
out
like
an
my
ad or
the
something?
thing is like they misplaced my birth certificate, so they didn't know her name either. So it's like it was just a big mess. Because like there was the false birth certificate, you know, going around,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh my
like
gosh.
Anna Maria or like whatever.
Jeez Louise.
And then my parents over here, they always knew my name, and I was like over there like not really knowing what to believe. So like
Wow.
for years, they told me, you know, that I was gonna come up here, and I was
Right.
like, it just kind of like,
Right.
you know, it's like,
Yeah.
keep going, tell me more.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
right? To recap, basically, since you were born, you were going to be adopted by Vicky and Greg. Mm-hmm. And it, in a nutshell, it took 12 years to get you out of the country.
Yeah.
And the beautiful...
14 actually.
14?
Yeah.
What? Oh, yeah. Duh. I came
know.
when you were 12 and you...
Yeah.
Sorry. And... to me, the most beautiful thing is how your parents just held on. Like,
Yeah. You gotta understand though, like, I can't hold on to things like that when like you've been told this and that, and like you also had a lot of people walk out on you. You can't hold on to
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
So I never really did.
you'd given up hope, basically.
I
It's your
never
turn, by the way.
actually. The thing is like.
You never believed in the first place?
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. They came down and visit me with Michael when I was like 7.
Michael's your brother, your adopted brother.
Yeah. So they came down and visit me when I was 7.
When you were 7?
Oh my god! It's totally gonna timber.
It's totally gonna timber. Oh, I can do this.
If you. Oh my. Oh no. Oh no.
Yes, queen.
Oh,
that
my
just happened. Oh my gosh. So your parents and Michael came down to visit you when you were
Yeah.
7.
And I actually had a really bad experience with them.
Oh no.
Well, the thing is, like, so I got to stay with them for a week And I just remember as a child, I was just like very skeptical because this whole concept of family was just so different and new to me. I was like, they basically introduced me to that shortly, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I remember the whole time that I was with them that week, I was just like, it felt nice, it felt warm, it felt very like a dream, like you know. I just remember thinking that the whole time that I was with them.
Yeah.
And then I, out of the nowhere, they had to like, they told me that I couldn't hang out with them anymore, and like,
Yeah, because they had to go back to the States, right?
yeah, and like, as a child, like, I just remember like I was holding onto my dad's hand, and then like I got snatched from him, and they were like, "We are gonna go now," and I just remember it just felt like everything just like it ripped.
Yeah.
Emotionally and physically.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then we were told that we were gonna go watch a movie, and I just remember feeling this heaviness and this like, you know, that feeling it just kind of feels like you're holding something warm, and then it just kind of like poof, it
Yeah.
left you like that, like, you know. And
Yeah.
I just remember feeling the anxiety and like, and I just remember going into that dark movie theater, and we were gonna go watch George of the Jungle, actually.
George of the Jungle.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go watch
Wild
George
stuff,
of the Jungle
I
now.
swear.
Oh my gosh.
And I just remember sitting there
George of the Jungle.
with the feeling of wanting to cry so badly.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I felt like I couldn't cry because like everybody else around me was so unaware of like what I just like what I just
Oh my gosh,
experienced in
yes.
that moment. You know, nobody asked me, "Are you okay?"
Wow.
Or like, yeah, I just remember. So that experience made me so much of like, I just remember feeling all that pain, and at the same time sitting down and telling myself, I knew that this was just a dream.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it was just like,
so when you came, it took you a while to
oh my gosh.
acclimate and be like, okay, this is reality. This is.
Yeah, like you would not believe how hard it was for me to like receive love from my
Yeah.
family, like all of them. I'm
Yeah.
talking like my brother, my mom, my dad, like to receive love from them was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't come near me almost.
Right.
And I was just like,
And you're just trying to protect yourself.
you don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
this is not something that I'm used to it. And like,
Yeah.
anyways, but they're fine now.
Did you?
We're fine. We're fine.
Praise Jesus.
We made it somehow.
We made it! Yay! Well, how long did it take you to finally settle in?
Ooh.
You're like, since
I mean-
yesterday. Yesterday, I settled in. No.
We're still working on it, folks. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
Relationships are just
Oh, well, sure.
it's
But like,
It's a constant
like
work.
you settling into life in Oregon.
oh man, I think it took me like 4 years.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got here, I was just an 8th grader going into 9th grade, and yeah, like, dude,
The transition from like
perfect.
for anyone on this planet going to high school totally sucks.
Yeah.
And you're like being moved from El Salvador
To
to
here.
America.
New language, new culture, family
and
dynamic.
High school. Oh my gosh. You are a warrior princess. You're
Oh,
amazing.
man.
You're an overcomer. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's an understatement to say of all the things that I went through, and they did too. Like,
Yeah.
you would not believe.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Absolutely. Your story should be like written in a book.
Actually, I thought
Gonna
about
look
it
good.
so many times.
someone out there write her story in a book. Anyway, it's your turn.
I'm available.
That's nice.
I'm actually being serious.
She's very available, guys. Can we talk, only because this is kind of it's a funny story, really. But can we talk about the scar on your head?
Oh, the scar.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, that's yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
Go by the.
All right.
You have to go first.
I think I was 6 or 7. I don't know. 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
And we were at
This one looks
water
really
park. What happened is there was this guy that went down the water slide.
Oh, I found
before me, obviously, duh. And then I was told by the guy that was, I don't know, the lifeguard, you could call him.
The slide manager.
And the slide manager.
He manages.
Failed.
He failed
his
at
own
his
duty.
job.
One job.
Yeah, we have
to
one
tell
job,
the kids
man.
to go down the slide.
You need to watch and make sure they're out before you send the next kid down.
Yeah.
So he wasn't doing his job.
Anyways, he thought the kid was out, and then it's funny because I knew the guy that went before me, so
Yeah, he was he lived with you.
Yeah, he was my friend, my brother.
Yeah.
And so he told me to go down the water slide, and my gut told me to not go because I knew that the kid was down there, but I was an obedient child.
So
you're
a good girl.
Down the slide I went.
I'm gonna listen to the person in charge.
Oh my gosh. So I went down the water slide, and I was going really fast.
Yeah.
And then I saw him at the end of the water slide. And as I saw him, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna hit him. I better sit up, As I sit up, boom. I hit him with my head.
You hit him with your head.
Yeah.
Oh
Poor
my
guy.
gosh.
He got bigger stitches.
Oh my gosh.
Screams.
How much blood was in the pool? That's what I want to know.
There was a lot of blood, yeah,
Ugh.
because my head, his head. Man, he came out and he was screaming. I was so mad. I was so mad I didn't feel the pain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was mad. I was why did I listen to that guy?
Yeah, seriously. I would be mad too. I'd be like, Jacobo, get out of the way and manager, you didn't do your job. And now I have to go to the hospital and get stitches. This sucks.
And it's so funny because I also felt bad because they had to take out all the kids from the orphanage, and then I'd be like, we're gonna go because they gotta go to the hospital. I was like, it's not my fault. I was like, you could just take me. They don't have to stop playing.
Dang it.
I felt like the party pooper.
I'm sure there's someone sitting somewhere, one of those kids, it's all grown up, just sitting drinking a cup of coffee going, Hannah, I was having a good time and she ruined it by running into Jacobo.
Oh
No,
my gosh.
I'm sure they've all forgiven you.
Yeah, I don't think they remember actually.
Hey, I found you a piece that you can pull. So when I was down there, when I went down in the 90s, all I remember was this big pool that we would go to. It was in a club area, but hardly anyone was there. Good job.
Thanks, you.
And
It was all you, but thank you.
no problem. Yeah, it was this giant pool, and hardly anyone would ever be there. And this one time, I think it was the rainy season, and it was fantastic because all of these giant toads just were everywhere, all over the grounds. And we're talking toads, you pick them up. We actually have those
huge.
toads. There are really big toads on Mount Hood. There's a lake called Toad Lake.
Oh.
BT dubs. And there's some big toads, but I've never seen since that many everywhere. And yeah, it was pretty fantastic.
Did you actually swim?
Oh yeah, I swim all the time.
With the toad?
Oh, not with the toads.
You keep talking about it.
I tried kissing.
And I keep left and right.
I tried kissing a bunch to see if they would turn into
Oh.
No, I'm joking. No.
I mean,
But
I would
yeah,
have believed you.
There was that, and then the other thing that I remember very well was at night, all of the giant flying creatures would come out of the woodworks. They're just like everywhere. Yeah. Hey Talon, how are we doing on time? I have not checked. How long have we been talking?
Well, almost 40 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that timer.
I have just been like enraptured in our we've just been having fun. This has been a lovely, amazing conversation.
I'm just hoping.
Yeah. Timber!
No, actually, I kind of impulsively wanted to like take off running too.
Just
but
leave,
it was
just
going down.
Oh my gosh. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for coming in and talking with me. This was really fun, and I lost track of time because I was just having a great time talking with you. Our sponsor for this season is Warden Missions, bringing community together. You can check them out on their website. And I want to thank my guest, Hannah Duker. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
High five. And that's all for today, you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Really appreciate it. Bye.